Oh, that's right. I've seen them.
All right, Cosmo Macero of O'Neill & Associates, a man who is currently working on his NCAA brackets.
Actually, I'm not.
Peter Kadges of the Boston Phoenix, in the interest of Title IX, a man who's working on his women's NCAA brackets.
Keep an eye on UConn.
Is Valparaiso in this year?
Keep an eye on UConn, he says. That's a bold prediction by him. No, Cosmo, by the way, you asked me to set you up so you could plug your Thursday appearance, and you blocked it.
You blew me out. You blew it. No, you can catch me on the new 6:30 Fox25 News on Thursday nights. Coming up, so tune in.
I blew it. I said, do you want me to set you up? You said, no, just do it like you normally would. And so I did, and you forgot.
I'm going nightside.
You're already
I'm
suspended,
cheating.
and you haven't even started yet.
I'm cheating.
All right, let's talk Japan first, gentlemen. Obviously, we continue to hear stories, and no one's saying yet, Peter, but it doesn't look good. Possible meltdowns. We seem to be inching closer and closer to that. Just your level of fear about where this story could go.
Well, this is going to be some pretty grim weeks for the Japanese. To be honest with you, though, I think we should take a look at the 30 reactors in this country that have similar designs to the ones in Japan. And the problem, or the weak point, seems to be how long will the backup generators hold if one of these 30 reactors should have to shut down or lose its main source of power. The second thing we should look at are reactors along the West Coast, frankly, which, given the way these earthquakes and tsunamis are traveling, the odds are increasing that over the next couple of months something could happen on the West Coast. Other than that, all I can say is let's try not to focus too much on minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour bulletins because it's going to take quite a while before we know the full extent of all of this.
Cosmo, you're in PR. You do this for a lot of big companies. If I come to you as head of the nuclear sales force, how are you going to sell nuclear power in this country going forward?
I'd focus on the long-term overall safety record, which is pretty darn good. I would advise the industry to look at the weak points as identified during this tremendous tragedy and say, okay, how can we get out in front and address those issues at reactors here in the U.S. and let it be known that we're going to work on making improvements as needed before something happens. Just in terms of the overall disaster, the human toll, as is always the case, is unimaginable and will get worse. The economic toll will be crippling to that economy and very well may have significant ripples throughout the world. And that's something that we're going to come to grips with and understand better in the coming weeks.
Nikkei opened down 10%, I think, this morning, so you're absolutely right.
First day of trading, yeah.
All right, let's get a little closer to home and a little less serious, obviously. But some Republican candidates or possible candidates for president have been making some appearances, much to their own detriment. Michelle Bachmann in New Hampshire says, you guys fired the shot heard around the world. Newt Gingrich says it was his deep patriotism that possibly contributed to his adultery. Cosmo, which one is the more offensive of the two?
Gingrich is on another planet as far as that's concerned. Michelle Bachmann, I think she just got confused. I think she was referring to the shot heard around Lake Winnipesaukee. Which was like,
yes.
I think it was a wrist rocket, right? I think it was a slingshot.
An arrow.
An arrow. So she blew that one. Too embarrassing and goofy situations. I think hers actually is worse.
As the liberal member of this panel, Peter, who often has to defend Joe Biden, are you taking much glee in these Republican malaprops?
They've been happening for so long, it's standard practice. Look, Bachmann is a world-class ignoramus. This latest faux pas is not as bad as her previous one, where she said that the U.S. Constitution was designed to abolish slavery. So, I mean, she's just there for comic relief.
Then she disses Massachusetts and says that maybe it should have happened. Basically said it should have happened in New Hampshire because we don't appreciate it.
New Hampshire's still proud of it, like we're not somehow.
Yeah, I mean, the Newtster is another matter altogether. My favorite Newt Gingrich moment was his getting remarried while his wife was on her deathbed dying of cancer. So the gall of this guy going around, talking about...
you think either of them actually does run?
Bachmann won't. I think Newt probably will. Look, I would still say, Romney's the front runner here. And if these other people don't get in the race pretty soon, I think it's going to be Romney's to lose.
I think Newt will raise some money and make some appearances and such.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Cosmo. Quickly, Tufts, whose side are you on here, Cosmo? The president has pulled the plug on the naked quad run. The students are up in arms, or other appendages, I guess. Number one, whose side are you on? Number two, while you were at UMass, you ever participate in something as stupid as this tradition?
I find it hard to choose sides and kind of a silly discussion. However, in terms of traditions, now, luckily UMass today is one of the top 20 universities in the world.
Okay. Top 50.
30,
no, top 20
by
now,
the way.
number 19.
Okay.
Focused on education. 25 years ago, the first snow gave occasion for the first snowball fight, which unfortunately always degenerated into sort of roving gangs of violent, drunk students.
At UMass?
And broken windows and so forth. So that was something that not only they tried to pull the plug on it, they tried to control it every year, but not exactly a smart thing. But yes.
Quickly, Peter.
As a parent of a future college student, I think the president did the right thing.
Amen.
As a former college student myself, although who would never run around naked, I have to be on the kid's side. But let me ask you this question. Since when do these traditions need sanction? I mean, I thought the whole point of them was not to be, but I guess this is what happens when you give everyone a trophy when they play soccer. You get the authorities to organize your naked college
And they
run.
need sanction when a kid falls down and then sues the school.
Good point.
All right, we're very short on time, gentlemen. St. Patrick's Day breakfast is Sunday. Every year, I ask you guys to show the politicians how it's done and deliver one funny joke. Every year, you let me down. I don't know why I continue this tradition, but let's do it anyway.
Can we agree that the breakfast just kind of jumped the shark? I mean,
we've long passed.
Quite a while. In fact, it's the one day a year that Massachusetts voters are more ashamed of their state than actually Mitt Romney is. And as far as a joke, or another joke,
that wasn't bad.
There's a half-off promotion on legal defense funds. Whatever you give to Sal DeMacy, Diane Wilkerson takes half right off the top. Right off, half off.
Speaking of Mitt Romney, he's updated his book. Senator Scott Brown has written the book. Governor Deval Patrick is going to be publishing a book soon. If you look around the state, I think we'd all be better off if the people in politics read a few books.
Man, I got to think about this. Maybe next year we run around the Beacon Hill Quad naked. It's time for a new tradition. Peter Cadges of the Phoenix. Cosmo Macero of Vanilla Associates.
I don't know. I thought he did okay.
I like to think I delivered.
I thought he did okay. Mine